wrote into us with the most mind-bogglingly fantastic wardrobe malfunction. So please share your story.
Do I have to? I'm sort of
Yes.
really beginning to wish I could change my mind on this one. It all began late 90s, and I went to an exhibition called Erotica in London. And I must immediately add that the reason I went to this exhibition was I was working for an exhibition company. And part of my job was to go and see other exhibitions and see what was going on.
Okay, so you weren't a fetishist in those days?
I absolutely wasn't a fetishist in those days or now. And it was a Saturday, so I went to the exhibition thinking I'll just call in really quick in the morning and then go for lunch. And it was Earl's Court Olympia, and there was a lot of press about it. And when I got there, I found it didn't open early on a Saturday. And really the only option at Olympia was to stand in a queue outside. So suddenly this guy thrusts a microphone at me and says, "Sky News, can we just ask you about why you're here today?" And I was just kind of like frozen. It was like, God, I've been rumbled. This is just, and there were two of them and there was a camera going. And I just sort of mumbled, I'm here for an exhibition. And then as he carried on, I sort of warmed to the theme a bit and sort of thought, I'm sort of could be on the telly here. And he started asking me questions about my views on this exhibition happening and whatsoever. And I got a little bit sort of on a soapbox and was, why are people complaining? And, we all have sex. I don't see what the issue is. And I really started to sort of gob off a little bit. And
loving
and
yourself.
That was that. And then it was like, and suddenly the queue was moving, and in I was. There was so much merchandise of all descriptions, but there was this woman selling the most incredible rubber creations.
Okay.
And by that I mean dresses and tops and sheets and just all these, and in the beautiful colours. I mean, I'd just never seen anything like it. And she was just like this full-on goth, and she had this incredible big black and purple hair and makeup, and I was kind of like under her spell. And before I knew it, she'd convinced me to buy a rubber dress.
Okay, what colour was it?
It was black, because that was obviously as far as I could possibly go, but it was this incredible thing. And it was a rubber dress isn't just some stretchy lump of, it's actually shaped, and it was in this really defined hourglass shape, which totally appealed to me because that's not me, and I thought it will make me that.
Yeah.
And she showed me, she said, it'd be great for you, because what you do, and she pulled out the front and she picked up her boob and she pulled it right up here and she slapped the dress, and then she was like, look, just holds everything wherever you put it. And it was like, oh my God, this is pre-Spanx.
Yeah.
And then she did the same with her arse cheeks, and she picked them up within the dress and let the rubber go, and it just held everything where you wanted it to be. It was kind of like, whoa, this is revolutionary. And it just created, I mean, when you held the dress up, it was probably about that wide.
Yeah.
And it was like, I'll never get into that. And she was like, oh, you do? And she explained to me all about that you put talcum powder inside and how you care for the rubber. So she convinced me that if I cared for the rubber, looked after it, it'd be a friend for life. I remember her saying that. Oh my God, she has so much to answer for. And it was about £200, which back at the end of the 90s, I mean, it's a lot of money.
Money, yeah.
And I just thought, yeah, I'm going to do it. Why not? And the fact that it was black, it wasn't shiny, it was matte. And so I thought it was almost classy. And it didn't
imagine that though. I can totally understand.
Yeah, it didn't scream fetish. It really didn't. And because it gave you such a lovely shape, I mean, it did flatten the old chest a bit, and you could not wear anything underneath it. I mean, it was like a second skin, without a doubt. And I was so excited about this. And at the first opportunity, literally a party at a friend's house, I wore it. And I did exactly what she told me to do. And I filled it with talcum powder and I slid it up. And it was still really difficult because, it goes from this, and the rubber it's solid. It's not some sort of stretchy. And I got all into it. And I thought it kind of looked great, but it was a bit revealing. It felt a bit out there. And I put on we'll call it a chiffon shirt. I think it probably was polyester, but it was like a black sheer shirt and some heels. And off I went. And at the party, and it was fine because you didn't kind of notice it was rubber. And as I got talking, some friends were there, and I was like, oh, wow. And they was like, wow, it's rubber. And I started doing the whole impression of the, look, you can oink your boob up and slap it go. And, you know, and it became a bit of a party sensation. I was having fun. I was a bit over hot, but it was all great. And then I needed to go to the toilet. And I just forgot. I just didn't follow the rules. And I went upstairs, you know, twisty stairs up round to somebody's bathroom, shoved the door shut, desperate by now, wrenched the bottom of the dress up. That was the big mistake. And bear in mind, all my flesh is just squished inside it. It was like a bloody tsunami. It just came up in a great force, and it wedged initially right underneath my boobs. And suddenly all the flesh, it just burst out. It was horrific. And I just thought, God, it's kind of all stuck underneath my boobs. Sort of tape. And the sort of, I was getting a bit panicky, was being a little bit drunk. And I just thought, I can't get it down. And I thought, I'm going to have to just take it off and start again. You know, I sort of knew that I'd done this wrong. And as I tried to take it further, it just literally walloped up over my boobs and rammed underneath my armpits. Okay. And by now, it's literally, it's like 2 inches of solid rubber rope that has got no give in it whatsoever. It had just reverted to its teeny tiny size. And it was so painful. It was so tight. And my arms, here we go, were like this. Because it was literally...
But you couldn't get them down or anything. You were stuck.
I was like this, really. It was very sort of Dalek-ish. And I started to really hyperventilate and sweat. Because I'm also naked, with my arms above my head, with this rubber around my armpits in heels. And I could hear there were people outside, you know, waiting to use the loo. I was just in someone's house. And my thought process at the time was, I've got to cut it off. And so, whilst like this, I know, well, because I just thought I'd cut it here. Because it was so tight. I was in
feel your pain as you're telling me this. I feel it.
Real pain. And so I tried. There was like 2 cupboards under the sink. And I was like this, on my knees, trying to find some scissors, or I kept thinking, a nail file. I thought I'd somehow get through it. I mean, the rope of rubber was so thick and solid, like nothing.
You'd literally been taken hostage by this dress.
I had, and I was so scared. My overriding thought that the door was going to bust open and I would be caught like this
on all fours in a rubber dress.
It was no longer a rubber dress. It was a rubber rope.
Okay.
It was some sort of bondage gone horribly wrong with just me involved. The only option was it had to go over my shoulders. And so from this, I literally, it was like when you've got something that is too tight under here, but there was just no good in it.
And the claustrophobia.
It really was. I just wanted to break out of it. And the only option was to damage myself. And as I pulled it up, it stuck to the skin. And every time it moved an inch, it just cut like a welt into the skin. And it was burning. And I was standing by now with my back to the door with my heels to it because I was so scared that you know, they were just going to come in. And eventually, oh my God, it went over my head. And the relief was immense. However, I was covered in these red, like, and I was in a lot of pain, like welts across here, and one right round my neck where it had like pulled over. It was so bad. And what I was left with was like this, a thick, solid rubber rope that there was no way it was going back into a dress without some serious help. And so I had the shirt that was sheer, which I put on, and you know, that was like a real kind of looking a bit like a hooker now. and they had they had some bath towels in there, which they weren't bath sheets. They were like, good old fashioned bath towel, which didn't even do up across a hip. It kind of left that whole bit on the side, and I kind of like Pocahontas meets Hooker.
Yeah.
And I exited the bathroom in a bath towel and a sheer shirt like this with and just put my head down and went. My friend was there, and I got hold of her, and I know we went into a bedroom, and I can't think whether it was she had a t-shirt. I literally can't remember, and I think the whole scenario was so bad. It's almost like it wiped that.
Yeah, it's like you went.
I'm sure we came up with a t-shirt. But I was left with the fact I didn't have any pants or a skirt or anything. I mean, it was just dire, and we absolutely exited. I mean, it was as fast as you like. And once we got home and later had worked it all out, what you do is you put fairy liquid on your rubber dress, and it releases it all, and then it comes out. I feel a bit hot just thinking about it, really.
I absolutely know what you're talking. It hasn't happened to me, but I know that kind of latex rubber material, and I know exactly what it does. And I felt every moment of that experience. For me, the worst thing would be the claustrophobia of having it here, and not even when you're in like if I've tried to get into something which is now too small and I can't get it back over my head, but there is a bit of give. The feeling of claustrophobia is so bad. Right. But I defy anyone to be able to beat that as a wardrobe malfunction. That is out of every single person I've spoken to, that is the most spectacular. So
the good thing out of it was that the dress went on and was worn for many years in various situations, and obviously lots of good storytelling from that. And it was literally it was about 4 weeks ago I threw it out. And the reason I threw it out was a hole had developed in it. We'd been to live in Australia, and the humidity there, the rubber had perished, but it lasted 20 years.
That's amazing.
However, the final part,
there's more.
The gift that keeps on giving is that not long after that whole incident of going to the show and buying the dress, I got a phone call from my brother who said, "I've just been watching you on TV talking about sex."
Oh my goodness.
And Sky used that interview, or part of it, in their programme, which I think was called Britain and Attitude to Sex in the 90s, a documentary. And it has aired like on repeat over 10 years. And it's like there's no getting away from it.
What's so great about this story is that immediately you put yourself in there and you think, okay, what would I have done? And I think that's what people who see this will be thinking, what would I have done? It's just...
The thing is, what I think now is I think, I would have brazened it out and I would have taken down the bloody shower curtain and made a top, but I think in a panic situation, you just don't, why I thought nail scissors was going to solve the day, but that's what I was looking for.
Or, excuse me, a nail file. I mean, what were you on?
What am I going to chisel my way out of it?
Yeah.
But really, the funny thing is, I think, in all of this, is that I had totally forgotten this. And it was only a friend who, on one of your stories, contacted and said, "I never forget when you told me about that, your time with the rubber dress." And I was sort of thinking I'd seen your thing and thought, it's so funny, somebody's been so involved with fashion and clothing, and I've never really had a wardrobe malfunction.
Julie, no one is going to beat that story, I don't think. I mean, it would be incredible if someone does, but I don't think it would be good. But thank you so much for speaking to me today, and you take care.
You're welcome. Thank you, Susanna.
That's love. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.